of our favorite returning guests, Dr. Jean Cirillo, to help us decide which one of our 3 guests should make it to the finals.
Hi,
the other 2 will have to compete against each other for a final chance at the cash prize.
Great. Okay, we got our next challenge coming up. It's a little bit of a surprise, and I needed Dr. Jean Cirillo, who's been on the show many, many times, just helping people. And, well, why don't you tell us what we're going to do?
Well, I'm going to be watching 3 videotapes.
Okay.
Each person is going to tell us why the other 2 shouldn't be rescued into the final challenge.
Right, they did that earlier, yeah.
I'm going to look at the videotape, and I'm going to be the final judge as to who gets rescued and who doesn't. I'm going to take a few seconds to retire and to make a decision.
While the contestants await Dr. Cirillo's decision, Dr. Cirillo joins Valerie on the bow of the boat.
Not easy to make a decision among these 3. They're all very bright. They all look great for not having eaten properly, not having slept in 2 days. I've heard them, I've thought about it, and I think I've made my final decision.
Oh, already?
I know who I'm going to rescue.
Okay, here's your rescue life preserver. And, great, these people are going to go straight into the finals, and, well, I'm glad I didn't have to make this decision.
It wasn't that difficult for me to make my decision. Michelle, if you were the only person in the perfect dorm, I would rescue you. But you have to be with people, so I'm not going to rescue you. Tanya, you've shown yourself to be a very good social person. And if this were a social dorm, I would definitely rescue you. However, it also requires physical challenges, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to rescue you. Now, David, I will rescue you.
Dr. Jean Cirillo to the show. She's a psychologist. She's been with us before, and she did a great job, so we had to have her back. Please welcome her to the show.
Hi, we are back. Joining us now is Dr. Jean Cirillo, a family therapist who's going to talk to our guests. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me back. LaVon has to realize she left a dysfunctional environment. Mom is not the same. The kid that's really abused is afraid to leave. It's the kid that's not abused.
The kids that come from the really bad homes.
Exactly.
The really abusive parents, they don't leave home. They stay there.
Right, because they know the world isn't that safe. It's the kid who lives in a safe home that thinks the world is equally kind.
Fascinating.
We're happy to have our staff psychologist, Dr. Jean Cirillo, back with us. And let's start with the 2 parents who have their own issues to deal with. A mom who's diagnosed with cancer.
Sometimes when a parent is deathly ill or when they develop some kind of physical handicap, the child feels fear and they turn it into anger against the parent. They're afraid they're going to lose the parent, so they're taking control by pushing the parent away. Well, your daughter might have a misguided idea that if she gets pregnant, if she has a baby, she'll show you a grandchild, then you'll have a reason to live. You don't know what she's thinking about. But if you're saying, you know, I'm going to die, I'll never see my grandchildren, this could be on her mind at 14 years old. So you have to say you want her to have a nice life, a marriage and children when she's ready. But it's important to you, the best thing she can do is get her own life together. So if you die in peace.
Once I have the baby, it's not going to be my problem anymore.
Oh, God.
Dr. Cirillo.
Once you're pregnant, the reality is the party is over, and you're not at that stage. You're still acting like a 3-year-old baby. You're less mature than a lot of 17-year-olds.
Then I'll act like a 3-year-old baby, but I'm going to do what I'm going to want to do, you know?
And can we talk about Dimitri for a second? Dimitri.
What is Dimitri? What are you doing? I get the sense this guy is donating his sperm. They need to make a male birth control.
In the end,
I think what they have male birth control. They have condoms, but obviously he prefers not to use them.
You know, why not, Dimitri? Why wouldn't you use a condom? Come on, you know. You got 3 kids now here.
You know, he wants to be a player, but he's not going to be a player. He's got to have a real good job to support 3 kids.
Got a good job.
With us once, bitch.
Got a real good job, dog.
The thing that concerns me the most is there's a lot of hostility with the women, but these boys are siblings.
I could not understand why these women were battling each other, not seeing that it's not the other women's fault. It's Dimitri who chose to sleep with all of them.
The
women talk to him when he has a wedding ring on. Probably they're doing that because you're safe. If you don't have the wedding ring, they think you're single. They're afraid that you're going to hit on them, and they're not really interested.
It don't make difference. Still get the response that I want. They leave me alone. Point blank.
He won't let her go walking or jogging because he's afraid she's going to be with other men.
I think these men have an interest in keeping the women heavy, so they're knocking down their self-esteem, because in each case, I think in 2 of the cases, when the guy left, the women lost the weight. When he came back, they gained the weight.
Yeah.
That says something about it. They feel safe with a woman who has something wrong with her, in this case, the weight. In a lot of instances, it is a medical problem. They should lose for themselves. But all the teasing isn't making them lose the weight, because they act out when they're upset by eating more and hurting themselves instead of striking out at the other person. You have to be supportive if you want them to lose the weight. This hasn't worked. Why don't you try being supportive for a month or so?
I mean, if the weight's the problem, if the weight really is a problem for the guy, and maybe it is a problem, that's fine, but this is not the way to deal with it. I think guys really think they're helping.
No, I don't think that they think they're helping. They want to keep the woman's self-esteem down. A lot of these guys would probably leave, or they're afraid the woman would leave them if she actually lost the weight, because they've treated her so badly. And women of all sizes, shapes, levels of beauty get abused. Supermodels, Miss Americas have been abused verbally and physically. It has nothing to do with how you look, and don't let anybody convince you that you deserve this treatment because you're heavy.
Absolute great point.
I spoke to them on the phone because we were on the last show together, and it's obvious that both of you are very, very attached to this child. I have a proposed solution. Since Brandy had said that she hoped that Andy was the father, would Brandy allow Andy to adopt this child if no other father comes
I was thinking
forward?
the same thing. We were just talking about it on the break. The same exact thing.
Sometimes what happens is when a child is deprived of something, either proper parenting, as in the case where a lot of these parents might have had drug or alcohol or other types of problems, or when they lose a parent through death or divorce, they tend to take it out on the visible object, meaning the parent who's already there, in this case mom, even though she had nothing to do with it. He's angry, and he knows he can't bring his father back, so that's his outlet, acting out.
While our teens went to jail and boot camp, our parents went to a parenting boot camp. Dr. Cirillo spoke to them about some very important changes they'll have to make to continue the positive change that we've made with their children. Take a look.
I learned something today as a parent. Instead of trying to be Crystal's friend, I need to be more of Crystal's parent.
You made the mistake a lot of parents make. You know, we can't have this buddy relationship with our children when they're little.
You know, I've had a lot of problems in my past, and Sarah has seen that. And a lot of stuff has probably came from that.
When I seen the tears, and yes sir, no sir, I knew then today was a big help for me.
I see the change in him just from the attention.
That's one thing the drill instructors did do besides being firm.
You better start listening. You understand that?
And sometimes offering negative consequences where it was needed. They did almost work one-on-one. They gave the child the individual attention. Your job as a parent is to teach them how to do things the right way and to guide them along to a better path when you see them going on the wrong one.